Welcome to What Happens After the Show, where we discuss the prior day in wrestling. And today we are talking WWE NXT from 3/19/2024. The show started off with Roxanne Perez versus Tatum Paxley. Tatum is fighting for Lyra Valkyria, who Roxanne Perez had previously attacked. Perez attacked Tatum in the entryway. This was a very hot start to NXT. In the end, Roxanne Perez wins with a crossface. She calls Ava out to the ring to give her the title she never lost, and Lyra Valkyria ends up making her way down to the ring instead and fights Perez with her arm in a sling. Now, Perez took off the sling, put Valkyria in a crossface, and held the championship over Valkyria afterwards. So it seems like we're setting up for a ladies title match at Stand and Deliver. This segment was followed by the metaphor backstage. Noam Dar says Trick attacked them from behind. Dar will stay ahead of Williams this week. Otis and the Alpha Academy make their way in, and Otis tries to get a kiss from Lash. She turns him down, and that's setting up for our main event later, where it's going to be Noam Dar versus Trick Williams. We followed this up by, we go to see Lyra with the medical staff backstage. The trainer's trying to talk to her, but Lyra keeps saying she's fine. Ava checks in to see how Lyra's doing, and Lyra tells Ava to make the match for Stand and Deliver. So, I mean, at this point, I thought it was official. They make it official later in the show. The following segment sees Josh Briggs get in the ring. Josh Briggs calls Obafemi to the ring, challenges Obafemi for the North American Championship. Femi says he didn't want Briggs, and then Dijak proceeds to make his way down to the ring after this. Briggs calls Dijak Shaft, and Dijak points out that he's white. This was an odd joke or note to hit in this, and I see Dijak as less of Shaft and more as a character from Sin City. After that, Briggs pushed Dijak into Femi, and things broke down. This segment was followed by Shawn Spears backstage talking about Pride being a downfall, and he walks off. We see Gacy hiding in the back there. Interesting promo from Spears. I like kind of what they've been doing with him since he came back. Let us know in the comments what you think of Shawn Spears' return to NXT. And remember to comment. You've got to be here with us live on TikTok. I know that later the audio goes up on our podcast feed. The video goes up on our YouTube channel. But to participate live, you have to follow us on TikTok, whenever we go live the day after the show. Next match was probably the match I was most looking forward to. Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus the No Quarter Catch Crew. And it turns out it's Charley, Dempsey, and Myles Bourne in this match. Now, after a break, they replay a highlight from Trick's segment at the end of the show last week. We see Mello making his way to the ring, or to the arena, I believe. I got to straighten out these notes. I've been doing this for a week, guys, and we've never done like week-to-week show recording. So sometimes I make the notes and I think I'm going to know exactly what this means when I get back to it. And you're finding out in real time that I don't always. Now, this was a great tag team match. Axiom almost smashed his head on the commentary table when doing a suicide dive. I would definitely look out for that spot. That looked wild. Axiom and Nathan Frazier looked great, but I really love the No Quarter Catch Crew style. And Axiom and Nathan Frazier get the win with a Phoenix Splash. I was surprised. I thought No Quarter Catch Crew was going to take this, and then they were going to go on to have a big faction thing at Stand and Deliver. This was followed by talking about Lexis King versus Robert Stone, the attack and Von Wagner's save. And then we go backstage and we see Robert Stone arguing with Von Wagner about the way that he rescued him, said it made him look infantile. And it makes you wonder, is there going to be a breakdown between Von Wagner and Robert Stone? This segment backstage was followed up by Sol Ruca versus Brinley Reece. Once again, when they return from break with Baron and Braun next week Alpha Academy makes the challenge that if they can get a title match at if they can beat the War Dogs, then they'll get a match at they'll get in the title match at Stand and Deliver. It's a good way to get the Alpha Academy involved in something here. This match between Sol Ruca and Brinley Reece, very good athletic match. Sol Ruca gets the win. Blair Davenport attacks Sol after the match. And you got to wonder, are we setting up to Blair versus Sol? Could it be next week on NXT, or could this be another Stand and Deliver match? And after this, the D'Angelo family makes their way to the ring. We go from there. We see Gigi Dolan and Ren Sinclair backstage. Ren is talking to Gigi about how her match ended last week. And then Ariana Grace comes in and gives Gigi a Miss NXT in training sash. There was an argument whether she did it the wrong way, but Ariana Grace still won and comes out on top in the end. This was followed by a Ridge Holland Instagram video. Effort to prove himself in NXT isn't working, and the loss to Spears, he says, proves that. Says he's going to do what everyone wants him to do. Now, you got to wonder, is he going to let the rage out? It's going to be interesting to see where Ridge Holland goes. Because, I mean, he was in the Brawling Brute, so he should have that fighting style in there. We see the D'Angelo family coming down to the ring. D'Angelo welcomes Lucia Crucifino to the family as the consigliere. D'Angelo says he'll break the unbreakable. Ilya appears on the video board. There's some arguing back and forth between Ilya and Tony D'Angelo, and Tony lets him know that Ilya has a match with Stax next week, and we'll see how he is when he makes it to Stand and Deliver. This in-ring segment was followed by Riley Osbourne versus Drew Gulak in a Heritage Cup match. Before the match, coming back from break, Lola Vice and Carmen Petrovic got a nice hype video. And I want to see this match now. I didn't know these were two big combat sports athletes. And when they showed them throwing kicks, I need this match as soon as possible. Getting to the Heritage Cup match, I'm not going to go through all the rules, but they have rounds. I very much like this style of match. This is the first time I really got to see Riley Osbourne. Very athletic in the ring. Just seeing the way he moves around, I feel like he could be the next big thing in WWE. And he could even have a career outside of WWE if he goes on after that. Riley Osbourne got the first fall with a shooting star press. Gulak got the second fall. And there was a moment where JC Jane and her friend were at ringside, Jasmine Nix. And Thea Hale is just so enraged. She goes to leap at them. And then I believe it was JC Jane went to cut through the ring. Thea Hale went to cut through the ring. The ref stopped her, and as the ref was dealing with her, the other lady, which I've got to get these ladies' names down in NXT. We'll get it in a few weeks, but the other lady pulled Osbourne's leg as he was going to suplex Gulak. And eventually Gulak got the win. So you figured probably the No Quarter Catch crew was going to win. I didn't know it was going to be through the women at ringside. And they're building a lot of good possible matches for Stand and Deliver. This was followed by a segment where Brooks is leaving the building. Fallon follows him to see if he's okay. Brooks seems to be upset that Josh has figured it out and he hasn't yet. After this, Fallon keeps a lady from attacking Izzy. These are some of the names that I hadn't got. I got them later in the show, but it was already late enough. I wanted to get this episode out for you. But I promise in the coming weeks, I will have these ladies' names down, and these shows will get better. It's all about practice. Anybody that's followed the Working Fans podcast, we're just trying to get bigger right now. We've been seeing a big increase in our YouTube, in our TikTok. So we've been going with the TikTok live, seeing how they influence the YouTube. And a lot of the people that watch us aren't following us. They're not subscribed. So if you enjoy what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button, like some videos, follow us on any social media platforms that you can. But most importantly, just thank you for coming here and talking wrestling, because that's what the Working Fans podcast is about. Ever since we started this podcast, we wanted to be like that one friend you can go to to talk wrestling. We're like that guy at work that there's that one person that likes wrestling. So if you have a couple minutes to BS about it, that's where you go. So that's just a little plug for the Working Fans podcast. And back to the show. Anderson and Gallows versus Hank Walker and Tank Ledger. After the break, Ava is on the phone making the Alpha Academy match for next week. Thea comes in to complain about JC. And then the match is made for next week. It's going to be Thea Hale versus Jasmine Nix. And Thea's happy. She walks off. And then we found out that Ava made a match for Duke next week. And if Duke wins, he could be in the North American title picture. Now, when they return to the two teams in the ring, they are already throwing punches. This thing is broken down early. And one thing that I noticed is Walker and Ledger are a really good hard-hitting, big team. They're the perfect team to be in there with the OC, and they really look like they contended with the OC. Eventually, the Good Brothers get the win with the Magic Killer, and next week it'll be OC versus LWO versus Axiom and Nathan Frazier to see who goes on to the NXT Tag Team Championship match at Stand and Deliver. I'm excited for that tag team championship match, but that three-way tag match next week is going to be wild as well. This segment was followed by Trick Williams backstage, says he's treading light and making his own decisions since the split with Mello. If Mello shows his face tonight, Trick will whoop on him. Final match of the night, Trick Williams versus Noam Dar. After break, Kiana James and Izzy Dame run into JC Jane and Jasmine Nix backstage, and JC and Jasmine are complaining about Thea Hale. Fallon Henley and Kalani Jordan come in for the attack. They announce the matches on next week's card. In addition to the tag match, you've got Ilya Dragunov versus Tax. You got Wolf Dogs versus Alpha Academy. If Alpha Academy wins, they go on to Stand and Deliver. Thea Hale versus Jasmine Nix. Duke Hudson versus Josh Briggs. And Sean Spears versus Dijak. Great card last week. And in this match, it's a good main event match between Trick and Dar. Lash teases a kiss with Trick. And then you see she's really going for an attack. Trick stops her. Dar tries to take advantage. Eventually, Trick wins with the trick shot. After the match, Trick calls Carmelo to the ring, says they don't have to wait till Stand and Deliver. Hayes' security surrounds the ring, gets up on the apron, and I dropped the ball, folks. I was just watching this minutes ago. I was talking to our co-host Dave through text, and I didn't realize I got sidetracked and didn't see how the show ended. That's not going to be every week. But that is this week, folks. If you can, in the comments, let me know what the final moments of the show were after the security was up on the apron and Carmelo came up. I want to thank you for supporting us and sticking with us through this new review show. It will get better as the years go on, as this year goes on. We're trying new things and find new ways, see what the fans respond to. So if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like button. Let us know in the comments what your favorite match is. And hey, I'll see you back tomorrow because we got AEW Dynamite.